proud members of the Podbelly Podcast Network.
I know you're tired. I know you're hurting. And I wish I could say something that was classy and inspirational.
You can do it!
But that just wouldn't be our style.
Welcome to Project Reclamation, where you rebuild, re-energize, and reclaim your life.
Blinded by the light. I don't know the words, man. I don't know the words. I was gonna.
Something about like wrapped up like a deuce, another runner in the night.
Yep, that's it. I'm glad we did that song justice. This is 2020.
Sorry, Manfred Mann and the Earth Band or some shit.
Is that who it is?
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay. So, well, we apologize, but we are not apologetic to Barbara Walters when we say this is 2020.
This is 2020.
This is 2020.
This is 2020.
Oh, man, we finally made it. We're getting closer.
Is that because she's 2,020 years old?
Yep.
That
just
makes
like
sense.
Betty White, and just like the Paleolithic.
Dude, I would way
humongous
rather
man.
be friends with Betty White than Barbara Walters.
Well, you don't know that, bro. To be
Betty
honest
White's
with you,
awesome.
Yeah, do you know that though? I don't know, but I heard Barbara Walters gets down, bro. I mean,
but doesn't
she throws down a credit card when the tab
in that
comes.
whole like Hollywood circle where they like sacrifice children and stuff.
I don't think she's a what is that? A
Scientologist.
Scientologist. Yeah.
No, she's one of the lizard people though. I'm pretty sure.
What is a lizard person?
I don't know.
Why do you always like have these weird things that you like always know of, but like I never know of, dude?
Because, dude, I'm super deep in the tinfoil hat clan.
What? Oh, this one guy's podcast or something like that?
No. I mean, yeah, dude. No, I like his. But you know, tinfoil hat just refers to like a crazy person, conspiracy theorist. Yeah, because I think back in the day when like there was like I think there was something about the government like reading your mind, and so
if
people were like,
"If you don't know it, then don't be all like I'm part of the tinfoil hat crew." I want you to say it with conviction. Tell me that the government. Go on here.
Well, no, I think that's where it came from. I think that whole thing about like people thinking that the government was reading their minds, so they wore like tinfoil hats because like, oh, their radio waves can't get into my head if I put on this light. Something stupid like that. But that's kind of. But now the term just came to mean conspiracy theorist, and it's kind of
because I know that Sam Tripoli guy has a tinfoil hat podcast.
Well, because it's almost like not really an insult, but it's like it's a term that cheapens people who like question things. Basically, makes them just all seem crazy. Like, oh, you and your tinfoil hat. So he picked the name to like basically lean into it. You know,
that makes sense.
Better like just own your shit, man.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So we've been on a break. I apologize to all of you. Yeah.
Don't be apologetic for it because why? What have we been doing?
Well,
on the break?
we've got a lot of new things happening.
Okay.
We got some rebranding stuff.
Yep.
We got a lot of. Oh, by the way, we must shout out to our lovely podcast network, the most amazing podcast network in all the land, Podbelly Podcast Network.
Only the best.
Go pig out on podcast.
Check
it out.
Podcast at podbelly.com.
Yep.
Podbelly.com. I'm telling you, if you have any interest whatsoever, and you're like, man, I'm stuck in a podcast rut. I've already heard the news. I've already heard this mainstay. I've already heard the comedy stuff. Nothing's just getting me. Just go on Podbelly. Something will get you there. Bam. 100%.
Bam-o. Yeah, check it out. Check out Podbelly. Go listen to podcasts. On there, you can also find all the social media stuff, too, for every one of those podcasts if you find one that you like. So Steve is wearing you're basically wearing a tinfoil hat.
Dude, bro, I'm wearing a baseball helmet.
You're wearing a batting helmet.
Dude, I'm wearing a first or third coach baseman's helmet or one of those old school Ozzie Smith helmets that does not have the ear flaps on it. Those modern day ear flaps.
Kind of reminds me like if you take off the bill, it reminds me of like one of those like skateboarding helmets.
Oh yeah. You know what it is that the San Diego Padres yesterday had Padres Fan Fest. I can't tell you how excited I am because one, I went to this thing last year, and what the difference a year can make, man, I'm telling you. Because last year it was like raining, maybe they were still like just hubbubs, shmabububs, no one was really that jazzed about it. And then bam-o, slam-o, dude. We switch around the new colors. You bring in Manny Machado. You got a bunch of new good players. Dude, everyone in San Diego, I felt, was at that ballpark, and so was Stephen Chang. And let me tell you what I did. They had something called a garage sale where they were just clearing out all their old stuff from their old colors. And boy, oh boy, I picked up a sweet batting helmet, San Diego Padres batting helmet, and I'm wearing it right now. Why? Why not? You know what I mean? Why the
And
F not?
tell the people what else you got.
And I also got this huge backdrop. It says like if you've ever watched like post game press conferences where they have the backdrop,
Or just think about like the red carpet when there's like a movie premiere or something, and they'll have like
Yes.
that whole backdrop that has, or they do the same thing at Comic-Con. You see pictures of all these people, and they have the backdrop that just
Yeah.
has the Comic-Con logo.
Yeah.
So yeah, Steve got one that just literally says Padres Petco Park, and it's one of those things where you just hang it up for like post game interviews and post game pictures.
And what do you think we're gonna do when I come back to work? We're just gonna decorate the office with this thing, and we're gonna give post game press conference. It's gonna be nasty.
Well, yeah, we'll take some pictures of post game pictures with Tim and Steve in
Post-game
Steve's
podcast
office
pictures.
at the freaking hospital.
Tim, tell us how the podcast recording went today.
Well, you see, I think I'm really glad that Steve's still home plate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because that really won us the game. Pod.
What did you feel like when you were up at the microphone and you were kind of thinking about some topic ideas?
I had a little bit of indigestion, to be perfectly honest.
Gosh. Okay. See, that's what I'm talking about. This just in and of itself, this one piece of cloth elicits so much goodness in the world. I can't wait for it. And then Tim, you understand, you were apologetic. You were like, "Oh, I'm sorry, guys, we've been gone." Oh, we're not sorry because honestly, we were developing content.
I wanted the fans to know that we care. That's all.
No, understood. We didn't even give them an update telling them that we're going to go away. They must have thought, they didn't make it to their 100th episode. These boys from Project Reclamation ain't friends no more.
They probably just stopped.
Are they even friends anymore? Oh God, I hope not. Yes, we are still very much friends. We'll always be effing friends. Don't you worry about
that. Yeah, dude. So. New year.
Yep.
We're not going to go into that whole new year, new you.
No, we won't.
Shit.
Why aren't we going to do that though?
Because I think that I
saw it on a bumper sticker early today. New year.
Oh God, I got an email from like. I mean, I haven't used it in a long time, but I used to have Tinder, so I got like an email from Tinder, and literally I think it was a subject. It was like new year check, new you check, new boo, we got you. I'm like, oh my God, I just threw up in my mouth. That's horrible. Ugh.
But then when you signed up, though, you were like, man, I'm really going to get this new boo, though, because they got me. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, of course.
I'm very anti-online dating at this point in my life.
Let me be real with you. The reason why we're not into at Project Reclamation, we talked about this collectively. You know what? When everyone says, like, oh, new year, new you, there's nothing wrong, right, with the old you or the current you or the future you.
That's what we preach all the time.
That's what we've always been preaching. That's what we always will preach.
And I think improvement is an ongoing thing. What I don't like resolutions because they're forced, they're bullshit, and 99% of them don't even. You go to the gym for January, like fuck the gym in January because it's like it's all full, all the time.
Max.
But yeah, I think resolutions are just kind of they're very shallow, and they don't. We're all about improving.
Yep.
Continuously. So, I mean, if January happens to roll around and that inspires you to, start doing something new or something better, like I'm all for that.
Great.
I'm not saying you shouldn't do resolutions. I'm just not a resolution guy.
Yeah.
And when we started this podcast, it was like that was when the train left the station, and this train is it's going to keep on chugging along.
Yep.
It's not. We don't stop and restart it every January.
Train doesn't stop. And I love that. I love that
Going
slogan.
off the rails on a crazy train.
Here's what it is more than anything else, too, is that, hey, like I said, just because it's a new year, I was listening to another YouTuber podcaster, and one of his things is all about fitness, and his whole big thing is this. Hey, man, January 1st is a day like every other day. It can be your cheat day if that's what you want to make it, you know what I mean? Whether that be you want to get boozy and eat pancakes and stuff like that, but it's a day like every other day, so you have to treat it like a day like every other day. And if you want to get those goals or you want to be successful, if you want to be successful in finance or physicality or whatever mentality, you still got to work on it every single day.
I mean, if that day or like the change of the year, and this one's kind of cool because we just started a new what do you call it? Decade. There we go.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So I mean, that's cool. I get it. And if you can use that as a catalyst to actually do something that you want to do, then I'm all for that. But yeah, I just don't buy into the kind of BS lip service resolution stuff.
Yeah.
But so you said you could use it as a cheat day.
Sure.
You know who didn't use it as a cheat day?
Who?
This guy.
Oh, what'd you do, bro?
I went full keto.
All right.
Starting that day. And I ran a 5K.
Oh.
But do you know why I ran a 5K?
You know what? I have a feeling I know why, but hit him up.
I ran a 5K because one of my best friends
go on.
did something way cooler than a 5K
Oh, God.
right before that.
Oh,
So,
terrible.
Steve, how did you bring in the new year?
Bro, I had
Tell the people what you did.
People of Project Reclamation, listeners around the world, and to the dozens and dozens of subscribers that we have. What I did was I did something on the level of ridiculosity. What I did is that I ran what's known as a 24-hour marathon. But, Steven, what do you mean, though? What do you mean? Well, how did you run a 24-hour? You ran for 24 hours? What I did was that
So you must be really slow.
No. What I did was that for every hour that there was, I ran a mile.
Because I feel like even I could finish a marathon in like 10 hours.
You would think, but no. This is like a time thing. So I remembered watching something on YouTube, and I said to myself, "Oh, okay, that sounds like a really novel idea." It was a gentleman who was trying to press himself.
You didn't come up with this idea?
No.
Oh, okay.
It was a gentleman that was trying to press himself and see how far he could push himself, or what he could do in a day, and how like much or how little or whatever he could do in a day. And I was like, okay. And he's also going to do a marathon, and it was just a different look at it. Short of the long is that, he basically kind of said, I'll run a little bit extra than a 5K, so a 3.2 miler. But then the other times I'll just run every hour of the day. I'll run a mile. And I thought
because if you only did an hour, you'd be 2.2 miles short. If you only ran a mile every hour.
Yeah, exactly. And
I swear though, by the last pretty much the second half of the marathon, each mile would take me an hour. So
probably. Dude, this is kind of like when he did it, of course, he edited it down. He looked good. You know what I mean? He was doing a bunch of projects. He looked tired when it was like during the nighttime. So I was like, okay. But I wanted to time this as in I wanted to run into the new year, into midnight, and I wanted to be successful that way, or at least be like cognizant of it that way. So one of the things is I had time it. So at what is this?
So you started at midnight.
December 31st at midnight.
No, you started December 30th, right? Yeah, because you finished on New Year's Eve.
I finished on New Year's Eve, so I probably
so I know you're right. I guess it technically is December 31st.
31st, I started on
midnight.
On midnight. I woke up.
24 hours before the ball dropped and shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what it is that, I just started running.
So when you got home, you're like, did you start your last mile at midnight?
I started my last mile. We actually paused it a little bit, so we were just drawing it out because I was actually, if you do it that way, we were 1 mile ahead. This is how it all kind of worked out. We were 1 mile ahead, and so we were just like, okay, we got to slow it up. And then I was slowing it up for other people, so other people could kind of join in from part of my running club.
Got it.
And so it was like, okay, but at 11:40 something, because I knew it took about 10 minutes, so 11:48. We ran the last mile, and it's like, even if you try and time it, now this is just like, the hard part wasn't necessarily the running, although I will tell you, it certainly was difficult. But the hardest part was the exhaustion factor, man. Staying up for 24 hours.
And then I think it's just like there's like a difficulty feedback loop there too, because it's like, the running isn't easy, but then the no sleeping part or getting 20-minute naps at a time is also.
Dude, the 20-minute naps kind of were like rough. So you'd almost be like, I'm just going to stay up, because to take yourself back down and then to take yourself back up, like with only having 20 minutes of rest, is actually kind of torture almost. It was like an individual torture, because you'd hear that alarm go off and it would almost be like the Pavlov's dogs. You'd be like, I'm tired. I don't want to do this. But part of it is that how do you fight through that, right? How do you say, I'm tired. I don't want anymore. No mas. But then how do you go, well, there's a bigger picture, there's a bigger goal at hand, there's a bigger something that you had created, that you had envisioned for yourself, that you had set aside for yourself. And it's like, you may be saying temporarily, no more, but can you power through and get to that little bit more extra? Remember that whole David Goggins quote that you always kind of tell me, you always remind me of? It's like, just when people say they don't have enough, there's always like 30% more.
It's the 40% rule.
Yeah.
It's a Navy SEAL thing.
Yeah, and it's like...
But also, David Goggins is a guy that goes and he tries to do something that sucks every day just to remind himself what it's like to have to work through things that suck, just so he can keep himself grounded.
Dude,
that guy's just a fucking machine, dude.
There's nothing that'll ground you more than honestly just doing the stuff that you don't like to do, because there's no immediate reward. Right. There's no immediate I feel good. Oh, I feel good right away.
Yeah, and I'm not in great shape right now, so obviously I didn't join Steve on his little adventure.
But you know who joined me? My friend Jeb. Jeb out in
Jeb,
Florida.
you're way cooler than I am.
He ran a mile with me on
Oh, okay.
FaceTime.
Oh, okay. Got it. Well, but now that's what I was gonna say. I couldn't have finished what you did, but you did motivate me to do. So I was like, I'm gonna go do a 5K. I know I didn't like it wasn't like organized or whatever. I think I did it like
Sure, you just
8
did it
o'clock.
around
I
your
did
block
like
or
8 o'clock at night on January 1st.
That's awesome, bro.
And I got to the mile mark, right? 1 mile. And I'm like, this fucking sucks. I'm out of shape. And I really wanted to stop, but I was like, you know what? If Steve can run 26, I can finish this goddamn 3.1 miles. So I did, and I'm happy I did. And I think I should probably try to do that like once a week.
Yeah. I care nothing if you walk it, if you crawl it, or if you propel yourself by dragging yourself there, right? The end goal of any goal that Project Reclamation always says, and that you and I have always kind of talked about, is set a bar for yourself.
I literally jogged the first mile, and then the next 2.1 miles, I jogged a minute, walked a minute, jogged a minute, walked a minute.
But you got through.
I finished it, and that was all I wanted to do.
Most
I didn't care. All I wanted to do was finish it, and now I need to get back into it. But I got my eating in check, so that's the first thing I needed to do.
Yeah, can I just tell you? And this is like this. That I think you can reframe this in any part of your life that you're struggling with, right? Set a goal for yourself. I don't care what it is, right? You know, maybe save $100 by the end of the month. Maybe save 1,000. I don't know, actually. Maybe run 100 steps. Maybe walk 100 steps. Maybe walk 1,000 or run 1,000. I don't care, and we don't care. One of the things is that, hey, can you set a goal for yourself and can you kind of work towards it and aim towards it?
And like, yeah, you can scrap goals and pick up new goals, but there's nothing less efficient and less success leading to success. I can't fucking make words today. Than someone who's just always like got a new goal every week. Oh, I'm going to do this. And like next week they have something completely different. So like, I'm not saying you can't change your goals, but pick something you really want to do, and then you can pick little goals that kind of help you get towards that. Like
Absolutely.
If you want to, like, I want to be debt free, or I want financial freedom. Cool. So there's like a million different goals you can do that are like that fit within there. Or I want to lose 100 pounds, or I want to lose 10 pounds. Whatever it is, then there's a million goals that fit into that. So, try to pick a course, and then try to do things that kind of fit in that. And like I said, I'm not saying you shouldn't change your goals, because you absolutely can, because things change. But don't be the person who's just coming to work every week with like, oh, I'm going to do this. Oh my God. Or like someone who does want to lose weight. They have like, when they have like, oh, I started a new diet. You're like, fucking Gary, you started like 3 diets in the last 2 weeks.
I was going to say, keep to the course, because it's so funny.
Stay the course.
It's so funny. Like, I don't mind. I used to be a person who used to have 3 or 5 different things like on my plate. And I'd be like, okay, how do I tackle all 3 or 5 of them? You know what? It's that whole rule that like, hey, guess what? If you have 3 or 5 things like that, or if you have 2 things that you're really, really heavily involved in, that means you're 50% good at both of them, right?
It's like multitasking. There are people who think they're good at multitasking. There's people who are better than most
others,
people.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's plenty of science that proves that human beings are not meant to multitask. Like our brains function in a way that we're really good at doing one thing at a time.
Sure.
And obviously sometimes you can't escape it. And we've talked about this before, but ultimately, yeah, even if you are pretty good at doing 3 things at one time, you're most likely doing those tasks at you're either paying like 60% attention to that, or you're only doing it at like 60% of like your capacity or your actual like efficiency or your, whatever.
But this all boils back down to the one thing too that we've always kind of talked about is that, hey, if you're going to be involved in something, you know what I mean? It's like give it that 100%, like be involved with it. If you're going to be at dinner with somebody, right? Like turn off your fucking phone, right? You know what I mean? If you're gonna be, you're gonna dedicate yourself to a project, like, hey, I'm gonna dedicate this towards my team because my team wants this. Be a part of that. Just be about that.
Well, I think that's something that you and I mean, we've talked about this a bunch of times. I think that's something that you and I have tried probably over at least the last year, if not year and a half, to be better at.
Sure.
Is to be more present in whatever task you're doing at the time.
Sure.
I mean, there's also plenty of studies you can read, like about, I mean, obviously we have email on our phones now and stuff, so you get this little what's going on, but they say like check your email. Like I was reading some Men's Health article and it was like check your email 3 times a day. Yeah. Now, obviously for work, you might, if you're at work or you're working from home or whatever, you might need to check your email more than that. Yeah. But even if it's like once every 15 minutes, don't just keep it open to let it distract you. Because if you're on a conference call or you're talking to another employee or you're in a meeting or you're working on a task, that little email notification, if you open it every time one comes through, I can guarantee you nothing is so important that it can't wait 15 minutes.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many great things that we always have to kind of be aware about or cognizant of. And as you get into the new year, you usually like find yourself as this epic moment kind of happens. And you're like, okay, this is a pivotal moment because I remember the date. It's always been kind of impressed upon me by culture or society or even my workplace or even my family life that this is an important date for me to start anew things, or start anew as in a new personality or new lifestyle. Just know that you are great enough. You're good enough what you do. Just stay the course of something that you've been working on for a long time, maybe back in the past year or past years before, right? Stay the course. Keep at it.
New year, same you, but better, bitches.
But getting closer to that goal.
I'm gonna put that on a bumper sticker.
Too long. They say Mad Men used to say you had 7 words. It's like it's over someone's attention. You can have more than 7 words. New year, better, same you. 4,
but better.
But
only better,
bitches. Only better. Oh, that's 7.
There you go.
Oh man, you know what? Mad Men was right. Mad Men was. Thank you, Don Draper.
Thanks, guy. Thanks, January Jones.
Oh, January Jones.
Thanks, Christina. What's her last name? Hendricks. I love her.
Hendricks. God, gosh, she's. All those are very, very talented actors, and I think
she's like the real life manifestation of Jessica Rabbit.
Is she?
I mean, she just has red hair and she's curvy.
Yeah,
I think she's a pretty woman. I like her.
Well, of course she's a pretty woman.
She's a good actress, though. I saw she was in something else recently that I saw. She's good.
She's in this show called Good Girls, I think, which is like a show about how some single housewives have to kind of like start robbing banks because I think this is her show because their husbands divorced them or something like that of that nature and kind, and it's an interesting topic. Interesting topic. Man, I can't tell you how nice it is to be back on the airwaves, though, man. I will tell you. There have been people that I've worked with at Mercy, and they've been asking, hey, when are you guys going to come back on? I'm like, to be honest with you, I don't know. We're up to a lot of cool, crazy projects, man. A lot of great stuff has been happening. And Tim, can you tell them like a little bit about what's kind of cool in your life, what new beginnings you had? Because there's usually been a huge development.
Well, we're kind of saving that for the next episode.
Oh, okay. Well, sure.
So, yeah, I'm not going to go there.
Okay,
fine.
Way to keep them wanting it.
Way
to keep them reeled in, baby.
A little bit of a taste. So, first of all, I'll kind of go into what I can't tell you most of the things we've been working on, but there's a lot of cool things happening with Podbelly. I don't know if you pay attention to our social media, you'll see that there was Podbelly was giving away some shirts. That's only going to increase. So pay attention, people, because you can win stuff, free stuff. Awesome. And I think Steve and I we're trying to, where we were just talking about it, I think we're going to plan a trip out to record an estood or 2 at the Podbelly Studios one of these days. Try to get that done in the next couple months. Yeah, Bakersfield.
Oh, Bakersfield. That's what I meant to say. I don't know why I said Barstow. Did I say Barstow?
You did. It's one of those B towns that you usually don't want to go to.
Birmingham, here we come.
Sorry, all the people that live there. I love you.
Bermuda,
and I will continue to go to Bakersfield because I love the people there, but not a huge fan of the city. But
Bismarck, North Dakota. Here
Bismarck, North Dakota. You already said Bermuda.
Yep.
Brisbane, Australia.
Yep, Brisbane, Australia. God, pray for that country. Berlin. Okay, they need more prayers than anybody. Beaumont, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
that's all I got. So there's a lot of cool stuff happening with Podbelly. So start going on there. Start going on our social media. Check out the website.
Definitely go there.
Everything's there. And we here at whatever we call the umbrella over Project Reclamation, we're launching a new podcast here soon. It's some little project JB and I've been working on. It is it's not really motivational at all, but you'll see. Actually, I think it's already up, so I might as well just say it. It's called the Jester's Court Podcast. And
how'd you come up with that name?
So I came up with that name because back in like Castle times, the only people that could get away with like making fun of royalty or the king or the queen or whatever were the court jesters, because they were doing it in jest, and they could get away with a lot of things. So
they were the funny guys.
They were the funny guys, but they were also the only people that actually had the forum, and not all of them used it this way, but they were the only people that could really get away with speaking truth to power without getting their heads cut off.
All right.
And if you look at today, some of the people that are questioning some of like, the media narratives and government and stuff are people like, Joe Rogan, Sam Tripoli, all comedians. Like comedians are still
Sam
kind
Tripoli
of
comedian?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I mean, like George Lopez had that one thing about talking about Donald Trump, how there's like a head, a bounty on his head, so it's like, okay.
Well, sure, but what I'm saying is it's still like, as far as like people who were like kind of Hollywoodish.
Yeah.
Like no actor is ever going to question the government. I mean, they do, but they don't really, because like they just fall in line, with liberal Hollywood, because if you're not like,
you don't want to lose that money.
If you're not a liberal and you don't toe the line of Hollywood's politics, unless you're someone as like badass as Clint Eastwood, who could just get away with anything because he's fucking Clint Eastwood.
Sure.
Then you can, like, it'll hurt your careers. But comedians are different. So they're really in a place where, as far as people who have a huge platform, they really it's kind of similar to back in the day.
They're unique social observers that kind of put stuff out there in a funny form.
Yeah. So I thought that whole like kind of common thread of comedy and speaking truth to power were kind of interesting to me.
I love it.
So I decided to call it the Jester's Court, and then we kind of like hammed up the whole court thing with so like the logo's like a skull with a jester's cap and then 2 like crossed gavels instead of like
instead
crossbones.
Of the eyes. Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, instead of crossbones below, it's gavels, and then it's kind of the whole thing like what's on the docket today, and then at the end when we like after the evidence is presented, it's like, okay, JB, what's the verdict? You know, what are your thoughts? Is this real? Is this bullshit? And then we were thinking we want to do a segment or a series of episodes called "Make Steve Believe," since you're not really into conspiracy theories. I thought it'd be cool to pick if we pick the right conspiracy theory. The goal of the episode would be for us to make you believe what we believe. So
or at least kind of buy into it or something. I don't know.
At least be like, you know
what? Those of
what?
you who are listening, just please know that like I am the most straight edge person in the world. Like I do not believe in aliens. I don't. I mean,
you don't believe in aliens?
It doesn't mean I don't believe there's life on other
you
planets.
Just don't believe there's aliens on
the
Earth.
way that the white Anglo-Saxon world has kind of put forward, it's like they're green little Martian guys with the unique cone-looking heads and all this sort of stuff. I'm like, that's bullshit.
Okay, so since you opened the door to this, I'm just gonna walk.
Here we go.
I
have a defense.
I don't know one way or another if aliens have actually visited Earth. I don't.
They could be among us right now.
They could be. Most of I think the alien chatter and all the stuff we hear, I think is more so the government promoting people to think that, so that
okay. So
I
you're
think a lot of
going
the
reverse on
well, no. I think it's a lot more like Area 51 and stuff. I think these are more places where the government and the military just do tests of crazy new technology that we don't even know exists, and I think it's just easier to kind of we'll just give some fodder to the crazy, rednecks that live in trailers, and they'll just kind of talk about aliens and stuff, and who knows?
Okay.
But why
would the government want to do that, though? I have no idea.
Because then the people that are talking about aliens will pretty much just get labeled as crazy, and or maybe they're like, it is aliens. It's probably easier than the government explaining why they're spending $3 trillion on some weird hovering ship or some mech suit or some weird who knows.
Who knows? Okay.
I don't know. It's a theory.
All right. Well, it's a unique theory.
Or maybe they really do have aliens and reverse engineered alien technology. Who knows?
Who knows? It's a unique theory, and it's one of the things that I'm like, all right, cool. I mean,
but I think that's at least a part of it.
I subscribe or ascribe or prescribe to the fact that I wake up, I go to work every day. I just live this life, breathe this air. Do I believe that there's another life form on some other planet? Sure.
Well, there has to be.
There has to be. We can't be foolish enough to think that we're the only people in the world,
or
only living things in the world. But, however,
I think that's ignorant.
I think the definition of living things is like such a thing that is only in our universe.
Well, and to travel to another planet, I mean, even like Alpha Centauri, which is like the closest like star system, and actually apparently there's some planets in that system that are a lot like Earth, so it's possible they have but
I would know, never visited.
Neither have I.
But
but with our current technology, it would literally, I think it was like 165 billion years or something. It would take you, or maybe it was like 1,000. It would take you way more years than a person lives to even get there with our current technology. So for any alien life to have visited Earth, they would have to be so far more advanced than we are, which is totally possible. I have no idea.
Okay.
Could be. But would they look like the aliens that we've been like
the green little Martian dude? Nah.
We've been like programmed to think aliens look like? I have no idea.
Yeah.
Or they might be like little, who knows? Like they're more like single-celled organisms.
I don't know, but that's life in and of itself though too.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Oh man. Always the good stuff that we're coming up for you guys here at Project Reclamation. You better stay tuned to us, man. We got a lot of great stuff that's happening.
Yeah. That kind of reminds me. I was listening to so I'm totally obsessed with Steve Rinella right now.
Oh, okay.
I'm watching his show, Meat Eater.
Tell me who Steve Rinella is.
So Steve Rinella is a guy who I got introduced to by listening to him on Joe Rogan's podcast, and then JB's been super into like watching his show and stuff lately. So I started watching his show. Meat Eater. He's a hunter. He's a professional hunter. He's got a TV show, but he has like a very cool, very balanced approach to hunting. He's a total he's a conservationist, and he hunts legally, and he has a really good kind of a spiritual outlook on hunting too, I think.
Sure.
Like,
I think most hunters have great.
I think so too. No, I think so too. So, but he's also just very charming. He's extremely interesting.
Sure.
But he's also like, yes, I want to go hunting, but he's also watching his show has kind of like reignited my love for like the outdoors. Like I haven't been camping in so long, and like I used to love
You're
that.
a city boy now.
Kind of, yeah, but I want to get back into that. But anyways, he was telling a story about this guy who lived with the Eskimos and wrote about it, and he kept trying to impress them with technology. And he'd be like, "Oh, hey, look, with this telescope, you can see the craters on the moon." And they're like, "Oh yeah, well, we know a guy who hunts on the moon," because they have all these crazy their crazy lore.
Oh,
so he couldn't ever impress them with anything. He'd be like, "Look at this cell phone." And they're like, "Oh yeah, we have a shaman who he can actually talk to the gods.
He communicates to the gods.
That's not even that cool." Like, and every story he had or every piece of technology he showed them, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, well, we know a guy, or we have a guy at our little freaking igloo village that can do this,
I love
this."
it.
Oh, it was freaking awesome. I thought that was great.
What did he say after that?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I think he just tried and failed. Yeah.
How did he win them over? I don't even know.
No, I think they already liked him. I think he was just trying to impress them. And I just think that I don't think they needed to be impressed. I don't think they wanted to be impressed. I think they accepted him, which is cool.
That's really
no yawning, dude.
Who doesn't want to accept Steve Rinella, man?
Well, this wasn't Steve Rinella. This was a story like.
Oh, I thought you said it was Steve Rinella.
He was telling the story about somebody else.
Oh, it's a third-party story through Steve Rinella?
That's what he does, dude. He tells all kinds of stories.
I guess I need to listen to this podcast, too. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, let me ask you something.
Well, he's written a bunch of books, too, and his first book is all about, like, stories of his, but stories that he knows. No, he's, like, really cool. Like, he had a quote the other day, and he was talking about, he said, if you love music, you have to love silence, because silence is the canvas with which music makes its art, or something to that effect.
How interesting. There was an interesting quote that I heard actually recently, and it's so funny. I don't know. It was from Joe Rogan's show. It was like, I think he was talking about maybe even a Native American quote, where it was like, tough times create tough men create easy times create easy men,
That's, dude.
And it was just like, I had heard that.
That just describes the last, like, 3 generations of Americans.
That. They always say, like, hard work skips a generation, right? Meaning that, like, I think the person that works hard sets everything up for the family and, like, is like, ta-da. And then the person that, like, is the son or the daughter or the heir to just, like, sits back like a fat cat and then just kind of...
trust fund kids.
Trust fund. And then shit gets hard all of a sudden again because the trust fund done burned out and they didn't do it responsibly.
Well,
and then that tough times then creates the genius of, like, a tougher man.
I heard someone was. I mean, this is obviously his kids are probably old now, but apparently Warren Buffett didn't give anything to his kids and made them like work.
Well, all of Warren Buffett's kids, to my understanding, are all pretty successful. Like, because they're all part of the family
that might
business.
be why. Well, yeah, eventually he let them into the family business, but he made them actually like work.
Yeah.
Through and work up to, and like, I think it was a story like maybe his son, like when he started working for his company, like Warren Buffett literally like paid his son a salary of like $30,000.
Made him work.
Exactly.
But it's smart though, because it's smart financial planning, and then plus like to receive no cut break or to receive no breaks.
Usually, yeah, because usually successful people's rich kids just they don't exactly turn out within work ethic,
Yeah, I was always just thinking like people that like I remember there was this at Fox there was this kid that like I don't know how to say this. He was the benefactor of the vice president, right? And like we just understood that like his kid was a little bit wild, a little bit kind of kooky, would always have problems just kind of with control. And then like when he needed a job, of course, Pops hooked him up, and that's great. I would do the same thing with my son.
Yep.
But yeah, I just remembered it was just kind of like, oh, okay. He just had to kind of run of the mill, and it was almost like I didn't care what the kid was doing or what he got paid. We all knew why he's there. But if he even showed like 1 ounce of like humility in the sense where it was like, all right, cool, well, I'm going to work long hours with you guys. I'm entrenched in it. It was almost like, how much more did that respect you? How much more did you respect him? Whether or not you knew how much he got paid or whatnot, you just knew that he was down for the fight, or at least down to like be one of the guys, or down to be one of the girls, or down to do the work, and that was the most important thing. But it was just, I don't know. Sometimes I always just wonder, holy smokes, like if they did come from less money or less pay, and you knew that, do you automatically respect that more? I don't know.
Well, I mean, it goes right back to the David Goggins thing. I mean, that's why he feels the need to do something every day that sucks so that he doesn't ever forget, when he was at that place where everything sucked and what he had to do to work through the suck to get to what's on the other side.
The pinnacle, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's why someone like, Steve Rinella, time and time again, he has a bunch of money. He could helicopter right into the freaking place that he wants to hunt for elk or caribou or antelope or whatever the hell he's hunting, bear. But he says he's a walker hunter. So even if he drives to the hunting place, he parks far away and he hikes everything in and he, eats his MREs and, he could have the freaking thing catered. He could do the Bear Grylls and be sleeping in hotels and stuff. He doesn't do that because that's not how he learned to hunt,
Yeah.
So he keeps it real because that's part of the experience, which is so funny because in some of his episodes, Joe Rogan and Brian Callen, they're in a bunch of his episodes, 3 or 4.
Sure.
And the first episode that they're in was the first time either of them hunted. Neither of them had ever hunted before. And it's so funny because, Joe Rogan is all about hunting. And he's like, Mr. I'm an expert hunter. And now he probably is. But it's so funny watching Joe Rogan do his first hunt.
Dude, it's
so funny. And then
that was his very, very first hunt ever?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he had shot bows and shotguns before, but only at targets.
Oh, all right. Dude, it's so cool, man, to see the development of somebody over time, or see what's what they're slowly turning into. You know what I mean? It's so cool.
Yeah.
So cool. Oh, dude, I'm excited for this new year, man. I'm excited for this new opportunity. Well, like I said, whether or not it's a day like every other day. January 1, but I am kind of cool. It is kind of cool for me to see these decades kind of stack up here and see maybe all the changes or all the growth.
Because think about it, the last decade that we started was the whole crazy Y2K. We're all going to die. The computers are all going to fail and all that shit.
2010s. That was 2000s.
Oh, I forgot about 2010.
Yeah. Yeah, see, look how
What
quickly
even
you
happened
forget.
with 2010? It just happened. Who cares?
I know. I think
who knows? Who cares?
Y2K, and then there's obviously 9/11, and so you're like, okay, and I think that's pretty much spoke for the decade of itself. You know what I mean?
Pretty much, yeah.
And then 2010s, I'm trying to figure out what it was.
Nothing happened in
If you think
2010.
about it, it was more social media than everything else, because 2008 was this huge upswing of social media.
Yeah,
It was 2008 was the stock market crash, or basically, this huge crash, and then you almost had a writer's strike that was developing for me. And it was okay, cool. And I remembered even having these deep conversations that Facebook. I mean, Facebook was starting around, but Twitter and Instagram was not around. YouTube was.
2008 is when Twitter really launched or caught fire. Isn't that when that happened?
Probably,
maybe. I don't remember.
But 2010s was all about maybe social media.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Posting about themselves. And then I really, really kind of I'm almost intrigued to see what this decade's going to be all about.
Well, and then that's right about when podcast's starting too. So.
Yeah, and I think you have so many people. I was going to say you have so many people that would like a voice, because you think about this back in 1980s when we were kind of growing up, and I had this conversation with one of my dearest friends, Alicia, earlier today. We were just talking about this, and I was saying, hey, back in the early 1980s, if you weren't on a major network, if you weren't a white man or a white woman on one of the 4 major networks of NBC, ABC, CBS, or Fox, who were you? In terms of having a platform to voice opinion and or candor of knowledge. You weren't anybody. And slowly but surely in the 90s, in Living Color, there's a kind of a racial exploration kind of period. But nowadays, if you have $200 and a microphone, you know what I mean, and a laptop, your voice can go to anybody, including all the far stretches of the world, like we do. Yeah. And it's holy smokes, $200. People would have spent millions upon millions back in the 80s money to have a voice, and for just $200 and a laptop and the connection to the internet, you're good to go, rock and roll. You know what I mean? It's that's the kind of most amazing part about the 2020s is I think the information availability right at the fingertips, of what you're trying to hear or what you're trying to listen to is going to be right there. It's going to be right
and
there.
it's cool because it, whether you want to be a comedian or a singer or just some sort of a TV type personality, YouTube and everything at our fingertips has given you the ability to at least put that online. Now, obviously there's some work involved, but yeah, I mean, you look at someone some of these YouTube personalities who what the hell would there's nothing even that compares to 20 years ago.
No.
Like, you couldn't do that. Like you said, you had to be on a major network to get people to watch you.
I don't even think you could post any videos on MySpace or Facebook 10
No,
years
because
ago.
MySpace was all like you could have like a song and like
Yeah.
you could change your background. And that was like the coolest thing you could do.
The song thing was like crazy, and the background change was crazy. It was almost like you were doing some computer programming, and you were like, "Oh, this is so cool." You weren't. Don't worry. You're just cutting and pasting something. But, hand to God, that was kind of cool.
You had to use like HTML language or some shit like that.
Yeah, you basically stole a code or something like that,
Yeah.
put that on there, and then copied your image, and then there it was, and it was so cool. I used to work at Fox. Fox bought MySpace when I was there. And then when they did that, I was like, oh, this is so cool. Short of the long is that I remembered, I was like, okay, cool. And I remember just adjusting my background several times a day because I was like, okay, I want to change it to this. I want to change it to this. The last MySpace backdrop I ever had was of Homer Simpson dressed as the Hulk or in fictitious character of the Hulk. And he was just ripping through the screen. And I thought it was so cool. It was dope. It was real dope. So, that's my memories of the early 2000s portions.
Yeah, dude. It's crazy. Crazy stuff, man. Yeah, dude. I don't know. What else? What else do we have?
Damn. I don't even know. This is how it is when you take a few weeks off, man. Sometimes you're a little sluggish.
Yeah, you're losing steam.
Yeah, but it's all good, though, man.
Well, cool. Well, I guess we'll just wrap this up then. And we'll say...
You know what? We're going to come back even harder. There's so much good stuff.
We will say Happy New Year. Happy 2020.
Dude, every day, I want to say this, if I can, make every day kind of count. And if you're one of these people that believes in, it's 20, it's a brand new everything, okay, great, that's fine.
Hey, if that's a catalyst for you doing something cool, then I'm all for it.
If that's a catalyst, do it,
It's just not me.
But make every day count. Don't be like, oh, well, today I got to go to work, so I can't really do anything until the weekend. Make every single day count. Make every single minute, an hour, and second count within that day,
Well, that, and also if you just focus on doing something that moves you a little closer to whatever goals you want to do every day, then that's how you do it.
Yep.
I mean, that's how you get to wherever you want to go. That whole, it's cheesy, but the whole, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Single step, man.
So if you take a step every day, okay, if you only took one step a day, it'd take you a long time to go 10,000 miles or whatever.
True.
But yeah. But, you get the gist, though.
But imagine if you, amazingly enough, took a step in the right direction, too. A direction that you wanted to go to. How cool would that be to see how far you've gone, in a year's time, in another year's time. So, excited for you guys. Excited for Project Reclamation. Always excited for podbelly.com. Always putting up the best content anywhere on the internet, anywhere on the podcast world. Go ahead and pick out a podcast.
100%. And then just to kind of close out what we were talking about every day, I'm gonna give you a quote from our friend Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Wait. There's a segment we haven't done in a while.
Oh, what's up?
The Rock says.
The Rock says,
we do today what they won't, so tomorrow we accomplish what they can't. And that's what it's all about. It's all about setting up the future by doing whatever you need to do today. And even if that's, run a 5K or maybe run a 1K or run around the block, if that's where you need to start, that's fine. But the only way to get to those big things is to take the little steps that are going to get you there. So that's it.
Step away, my friends. Keep on stepping, my friends.
Step
Keep
away. And then sometimes, if you're kind of hitting your head against the wall, take a step back and change your perspective.
Yeah.
Because it's all about perspective. And then remember, when you walk up to opportunity's door, don't knock it. Kick that bitch in, smile, and introduce yourself. I'm going to leave you with that. Happy
Always
2020,
good.
y'all. Be good. And until we speak again.
So what I believe you were trying to say is thank you.